Hello and welcome to the Somatic Oracle. I'm inviting you in this morning to my practice of my spiritually focused practice, I guess. It's really my healing therapy, thinking, meditation in the morning, reflection, CEO dump, brain dump. Um, it's basically my alone time where I get to process whatever is happening around me, whatever it is that I'm getting ready to do, or the projects I'm in the midst of working through, or the circumstances, situations, and problems that I'm navigating at any given point. And so I am in this new space for a time, and I wanted to get back into my habits as I have been through camping and through being at my house as well. So this morning a lot of my things are in storage just because a lot of things are in flux and unknown. And I'm really navigating a lot of things that I've never navigated in my life before. I'm also working on getting my art out there. And so it's a very interesting time. It's the first time I find myself without gainful employment and a regular income. I'm obviously still working on my businesses and I'm not doing nothing. But it is a new chapter in my life for me because I've been working since I was 14 years old. So I've always had an income that has been self-generated. And now there's a lot of supports in Canada that I have paid into through my taxes in all of that time that I'm benefiting from. But they're not as complete or as, well, frankly, they're just not the lifestyle I'm used to. And that's okay. That's not a problem. But I've been living the lifestyle I've been used to. And so that means the expenses that are residual are parallel to that, right? A house for sale in the markets right now is not as hot as through COVID for various reasons, right? And so there's a lot of people navigating similar circumstances to myself for various reasons. And they're finding themselves in this awakening of self and their healing path and their recovery path. And why do I say recovery path? Because we can recover from trauma. Healing sounds very vague, but recovery feels like you can attach something real tangible to it. And so for me, what's my recovery path? Well, as somebody who's been brainwashed in adulthood multiple times, my recovery path is discovering who I really am and erasing all of the things that were inflicted on me that sang narratives that made me less than in my physiology, which meant I was always in a state of energetic deficiency. I was always overworking my system. Instead of being fueled by the things that I was doing, it was being drained and tapped out by all of the things that I was working on at any given time. And this is why I can be in this so much uncertainty and still be very consistent in a lot of my practices that are around my healing and my nurturing. And I'm actually much more regulated and calm in the chaos, unfortunately, because that's what I grew up in, right? A lot of chaos, whether it was actually externally visible or just others were experiencing the world chaotically as well. And I'm noticing that as I'm recording this episode, my voice box is extremely strained. All of the muscles here. Now, thankfully, I don't use only my voice box to speak, but the amount of pain that I'm experiencing right now is phenomenal. So this is a somatic response, and I'm just going to pause. And this is what complex PTSD looks like. So I'm having a severe anxiety attack right now. And what that feels like is like my whole voice box and my tonsils going into an intense spasm. And this would be what takes your voice resonance away. Okay, it's relaxing and my voice is changing now again. I don't know if the audio picked that up, but that was my neck releasing after that intense contraction. And my eye is so intensely reactive that I can see light flashing almost like a ring around my eye, like the light almost is spinning this way, and it just starts here and it goes up and around. I also feel intense tension in the muscles all around my esophagus. So that is a somatic anxiety attack where I obviously didn't go offline cognitively because I have them so frequently in various different ways. I get different random pains that show up like intense waves. People get these behaviorally. I get them somatically, which means all of the tissues and muscles act out in a way. Now, I have a lot of practice controlling this because I'm always online. I'm always aware of all of the different levels of awareness that are playing out in my body. And so how does it feel? My voice is always the trigger, so I was able to let that come on as a wave because I created the safety by speaking it. So that was the release. And that was the upper neck muscles, all of the trap muscles, all of the tissues around the clavicle. And if you felt me pressuring, just touching those tissues, I was just applying a little pressure, somatic touch to those tissues, not a deep like acupressure, just a somatic touch. And what's the difference between acupressure? You're actually hitting a pressure point. So that's like a little junction of energy, or a junction spot for the energy. That's the pressure point. Versus somatic touch, I'm actually touching all of the tissues. I'm aware of all of the tissues. And it's just, I'm thinking about impacting and holding the tissues as I do that. And so my conscious mind and my unconscious mind, or my cognitive brain and my cerebellum are working on these tissues together. I'm helping them work together as I'm under attack, basically, as one as my unconscious is freaking out because I'm finally articulating my work in a way that's impactful and material, then I go into fear, and that's where the spasms come in. Okay, the city is awake, the streets are being swept, the plants are being watered. It's gorgeous here in St. Thomas for a reason. So you're going to hear background noise here. So what I'm going to do next is go into the practice the questions that I'm asking myself right now intuitively as I live this intuitive life, as I have faith and trust in the blessings that I've always had and created for myself. Some people will call this manifestation. Some people will call this magic. Some people will call this faith. To me, it's just one of many ways to translate how we experience the sound of the physical fingers snapping together. So the spiritual to the material. Okay, so there's a question of, do I allow people who do not understand me to support me through this journey? And in what ways do I allow them to support me, and what boundaries do I uphold at this stage of the game? Sorry, I just realized I'm flashing everybody. My improv setup here did not allow me to see that. Okay. So I pulled some cards, and these are cards for healing forgiveness by Louise Hay. And so first things first, the first card that I pulled and the first one was around this: do I let them send me money? Do I let them help me in the ways that they need to help me, or do I let them help me in ways that I need to actually be helped, and that honor my journey and my boundaries and my wisdom, and that respect that those things that have impacted me to have these kinds of PTSD responses? And do I keep exposing myself to that? Or do I finally allow that to be in the past? And how much? Because I know I'm being called to soften in my adulthood, in my maturity, in my development. And soften in a way that is about being stronger within me. So the first card that I pulled, I cannot change another person. I let others be who they are, and I simply love who I am. And so nobody gave me that answer. When I tune into the wisdom and all of the things that I know bother me about the approach and the offer and how it's being offered and approached now and by whom within that same circle, I'm honoring that. I think this is where the softening happens, that we all get to support each other and be in our own realities and worlds, and then we get to own for ourselves, just as I have up to this point, how we honor that for ourselves and respect the other person's journey as well. And then the other side says, I get the help I need when I need it from various sources. My support system is strong and healthy. And so this is where I go, wow, that intuition life. This is where those words faith and blessed come in, because they're the ones that translate the feeling the best for me. They translate how everything that I'm doing is magically aligned, and it's all here for me to build a character at a soul level, build character at a soul level, and not just be a character here in this lifetime, you know? So I get the help I need when I need it, and from various sources. So this is my softening, right? If before black and white thinking was the brainwashing, then I get to soften now. And so this is the healing. This is the spiritual part. And where's the recovery piece? Well, it's in the tissues. I did not allow that reaction to wipe me out. I allowed myself to be seen in my fullness, because this is what's happened every time I go to put out my art. My whole body seizes up. And then a younger part of me that is a manager comes in and tries to do all the things that it knows how to do at whatever developmental stage I learned those things. At whatever time I had this reaction, because the brain just goes, oh shit, we flicked the switch. The body's doing this. This is what we've got to do. And so learning to have those things both be true at the same time and not interfere with each other are what allows me to finish the OG thought, which was, I'm going to invite you into my spiritual practice. And then it ends up being a whole teaching moment about the somatics and PTSD and translating trauma. And so this is how my brain operates on multiple tracks. So that was the first dilemma, brainstorm, brain dump that I wanted to honor. And I also wanted to say that, how do I have this card even right now? Because most of my stuff is in storage. Well, the intuition life, there's a lot of things that I've purchased or stored in a certain way that I had no conscious ability to wrap my head around and explain to anybody, even to myself. But I honored it and I did it. And it's not, the intuition life isn't like there's somebody else driving the bus. There's all these things I know that I can't access right now, but they're here and I know them so well that I don't need this to make them happen. And so I was able to pack a certain way. I was able to access, my dad's militaristic approach to life as I navigate this stuff and pack in that way. Even though I myself have not been formally military trained, my whole essence in life has been exposed to that kind of mentality and approach and thinking. In so many ways, analysis, hyper-analysis, deep analysis, where you're overwhelmed with data. And then your body paralyzes, or you have 5 million tracks to say because they all make sense and they're all exciting. But what are we focusing on right now? What's the actual objective? And what's the outcome that we're looking to achieve? And who are we trying to connect with and why? So, how did I start my practice is some of the background context I want to give you. And I also want to give you the context of what tools I'm using. So I keep looking down because I'm reading right now, again, The Tao of Fully Feeling. And I say again because I partially read most of my books. Or I've read them and I don't remember them. consciously, but I'm putting all of the work into practice. And when I go back and revisit and study them, then I realize, oh crap, I already read this. I already know this. And this is where the erasure of mind control comes in, where you literally forget things about yourself that, like, I've won a drawing contest as a kid, and yet as a teen, I told myself I couldn't draw to save my life. And so, what did that mean? Did somebody tell me I couldn't draw because it would save my life? Or I somehow picked up the belief, which is the more highest likelihood, that if I was in a situation where I needed to draw to save my life, I wouldn't be capable of doing that. Yet I had won a drawing contest, provincial drawing contest, and of kids of my grade. And developmentally, I was ahead of this game. So, and why? Because there's a lot of shame that was involved in my trauma. There was a lot of shame around things that were useless or perceived to be useless. And also, I'm working on my legal cases. And so all of that data allowed me to dump a bunch of the data that I'm going to need for my work that is actually going to impact my livelihood and my literal freedom, whether I get to stay out of jail or not. And so this card has beautiful graphics, and other beautiful humans have let themselves draw these and create these through intuition. And so this is why this work is so powerful, is because we do get a lot of independence and self-sufficiency and free thinking from this, but it has to hold meaning to us. And so I'm going to give you that meaning to me in case it helps you translate some of the meaning to you. So this part that says, I cannot change another person, I let others be who they are, and I simply love who I am. Somebody I deeply respect and value will never give me flowers as a gift, because they die. Cut flowers die. And that is a line of thinking, that there is death in that. And yet in the death of flowers is where my art is born. And so it's kind of that tangible in real life experience of the spiritual black and white and how different that can look. And so here's the recovery piece. I get to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. I get to be comfortable with that person having a very different perspective from me and never having that need met by them and having it not mean a damn thing, which is very different than what you learn when developmentally your needs are not met by your caregivers, or worse, your body existence is used so that their needs are met. Kind of like in the model of, that fanatical Christian wife, self-sacrificial Christian wife narrative, right? And so, or self-sabotaging, more like it, Christian wife narrative. And so I get to love who I am while loving who they are as well. And bees and the flower and the imagery and my art, I'm being faced with, getting a real job again. Instead of my business being what is my livelihood, or even as it has been, my business allowing me to fund my learning, right? And create something under a business as funding my learning. So I get the help I need when I need it from various sources. My support system is strong and healthy. Again, here's that bee imagery, the heart, the honey. My name, Sonia Demelsa, simply bee. Demelsa speaks honey. If you've seen any of my, or if I ever publish any of my other episodes, um, where I speak these things on the Somatic Mama or the Somatic CEO around my art, it just gives you some really cool imagery. Okay. And so I get to get funding from various sources. It may be my family, it may be my friends, it may be my art, it may be my music, and it may be a traditional job. And I may go back to cleaning houses because I made good bank doing that as a side gig. So not letting anything mean anything about anything, or just meeting my needs and loving who I am right here, right now. So that's card 1. Card 2, wherever I may have put it, was around my work and my career. And hummingbirds being a symbol of milestones about being in the right place and doing the right thing. And so I'm applying to this one particular job, which is kind of cool. It's full circle. I'll talk about it once it materializes. But it says, I forgive everyone in my past for all perceived wrongs. I release them with love. And so this is around how the role I'm applying for, I felt like I failed at the last time I played that role. Like I was fired and everything. And not fired because it was my trauma and they knew that. And so I just ended my placement with them. But it felt, I gave it a narrative. I gave it a story, and that story is persisting today. And so here's this opportunity to rewire. Here it is for me, this chance to apply for this role that I never would have given a second glimpse at, but is perfect right now at this stage. And for this healing. And so such a beautiful card. And on the back it says, today I listen to my feelings and I am gentle with myself. I know that all my feelings are my friends. And again, that heart imagery, that mandala, that lotus flower coming out of the muck. Look. And so to me, it's just, pie, if you spin pie on a model, it creates a mandala, and it's beautiful. The mathematical number pi, numerical number pi. And it always kind of misses the previous one, and as it spins around, it creates a mandala, and it's gorgeous. And so to me, it's like the precision of life, the precision of creation and math, the heart math, right? We have to go through these things sometimes to get the lesson at a heart level. And so my career, whatever it is whatever stories I've spun all year about my career and my life that I'm spinning right now, they're just a near miss from the last time. And then they're going to continue to be a near miss. And in the end, when I step back and look at it, it's going to be this gorgeous mandala. So just chill out. There's your hummingbird. You're cool. And that one was pretty straightforward and easy. And the other question is around a new romantic relationship, which is at a soul level, just fire. And at a human level, just magic. And so the card that comes out is everyone in my life has something to teach me. We have purpose in being together. And that is just like, wow. And that has been true for me. I'm very fortunate as a woman. That has been true for me for every single romantic relationship that I've been in this lifetime at a soul level. So I'm very grateful for that. And as I change my thoughts, the world around me changes. So as I change my thoughts about my past relationships and how I express about them within myself, it makes this one even more magical. And it heals things in my divine feminine that I had no way of healing any other way, except for through the support and love of a man. And in all the ways that love can be expressed beyond romance, and in kinship, which is just beautiful to me, which is the gold that I was always mining in all the other soul relationships that I've been in. So yes, I have been very blessed in this practice this morning, this spiritual practice. And I get to explain it to you in under 30 minutes. And you got to witness me translating trauma. So this will not be held back from you. I will share this right away. And hopefully all the other things I talk about in between here will get published soon too. And I want to say thank you to whoever's watching, because this is not a marketing or a marketed process. This is a connection from my soul and my heart. Sorry, I'm going to sneeze. That's somatic release. That sneeze was really long holding there. And how do I know that that's a somatic release? Because I can actually feel my brain relaxing. So from the pineal gland, there's just a lot of drainage happening right now. And so it's coming down the front part of my face, which is what's causing the sneezes. So if you get burps, gas, farts, sneezes, any kind of change in your physiology, snaps, tension, that's your somatic tissues adjusting. And that could be because you've just expressed something. So for me, actually recording this video, allowing myself to be witnessed through all of this messiness, through all the different layers of awareness that I'm channeling in any one episode here, and what's happening in my body as I do that, and knowing that I can feel it all. These are good things. These are very good things in the rewiring of our brains, because that means the conscious mind and the unconscious are both speaking. And this yawning, this release is not taking me offline. It's keeping me focused, even though I feel a little buzzy in my body. And I'm starting to feel that kind of outer body feeling of the body just being overwhelmed with stimulus. Okay, so I hope this episode has been interesting and helpful. And to my international fans, my friends abroad, I love you. Thank you I feel all your love from a distance. We are connected.